Benvenuti listeners, welcome back to the Anglo-Italian Connection Football Podcast. I'm Tommaso.
And I'm Ruairi.
We are recording from our studio in Milan and we are fresh from the Champions League draw, during which a few beers might have been had.
Rory, just one or two.
Just one or two. Group A, how does it look like?
I'm pretty excited. So, Group A is the immovable object meets the unstoppable force, as we see Bayern face up against Atletico Madrid.
In Group B, Inter Milan meet Real Madrid for the first time since the 1998-1999 season, a game that Inter won 3-1 thanks to a brace by Roberto Baggio.
And in Group C, I have a conspiracy theory that Manchester City may be paying their way to make sure that they get the easiest group every year.
Group D, you might as well call it the group of the high press, featuring the likes of Liverpool, Ajax, and Atalanta.
And in Group E, we have not a lot to say about this group. This is a group that should prove easy for Chelsea, but will it?
Group F, featuring Lazio. Could the Eagles finally make it to the second stage of the Champions League for the first time since the 1999-2000 season?
And then Group G, we have the group that everyone's going to be looking at. Messi versus Ronaldo, as Juventus and Barcelona are drawn in the same group.
And finally, the group of death, Group H, featuring the likes of Paris Saint-Germain, Manchester United, Leipzig, and Istanbul, excuse my pronunciation, Başakşehir.
Good work.
Yeah, never an easy away game. All this is coming up in about 5 seconds on the Anglo-Italian Connection Football Podcast.
Let's go. Okay, welcome listeners to our Euroreview this week, a Champions League draw special. And we will be starting with Group A, which is Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, RB Salzburg, and Lokomotiv Moscow. I personally am pretty excited about one fixture in this group. Bayern versus Atletico is going to be an interesting one. A team that only concentrates on defense against a team that only concentrates on attack.
And a team that has just won the Champions League in quite some fashion, winning every single game from the group stage all the way down to the Champions League final, and also a team that features 3 of the best players in Europe.
Yeah, well, it was announced today, right? Neuer, goalkeeper of the year, Kimmich, defender of the year, and of course Lewandowski, striker of the year. So a team to be excited about. But with Atletico, they've just announced Luis Suarez. They might be getting Edison Cavani. Simeone is gathering the shitbags so they can all shithouse their way out of this group, maybe.
Who do you think are going to pass from this group?
I think this one's fairly straightforward. I think it's Bayern, Atletico, but I think Salzburg are going to cause more problems than we expect. Obviously, Haaland came from there. They've got a lot of players that seem to go on and do very well. Minamino, who's now at Liverpool. I think they always have a good, not well-known, underrated team. So I think it's an interesting group to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and we've got the same prediction. I do think that Bayern and Atletico are going to make it from this group. Let's move on to Group B, the one that I'm very interested in. Inter Milan draw Real Madrid, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Borussia Mönchengladbach.
I just have to say, watching you watch the Inter draw was quite entertaining, as how nervous you were about which team would come out. When Mönchengladbach came out at the end, I think that was just an extra spanner in the works that you didn't quite need.
Yeah, I do agree with you. We don't usually get very lucky with the draw. And I do think that Real Madrid are not the usual Real Madrid this year. It feels like they're going through some sort of transition. So I don't think that Real Madrid are as scary as they usually are.
I feel like their focus has shifted. They've gone now, weirdly for Real Madrid, towards letting youngsters have a go. So they have like Rodrigo and Vasquez, and they're starting to bleed in young players. I think they're going to be, obviously Real Madrid are always good, right? Yeah. So I think there will still be a challenge. But yeah, it's not the Galacticos that we're kind of used to, I suppose. But Inter have had a positive, if not exciting, start to the season, right?
Inter have had quite an exciting start of the season. It feels like Pazza Inter, the crazy Inter, is back. We did watch the Fiorentina game together, a 4-3 win. But man, I got scared for a second. I did get scared for a second. I wasn't sure we were going to win it, but in the end, it feels like Conte really motivated them to do
2 goals in 6 minutes at the end, maybe.
Yeah,
right?
It was pretty intense. Inter also won last night against Benevento 5-2 in what was a very impressive game from an attacking point of view. Inter's attack looks smooth. The problem is that we've conceded quite a few goals in the first 2 games we played. 5 goals in 2 games. It's not that great, but at the same time, we are playing more entertaining and more offensive football. And as far as I'm concerned, if we score one goal more than the opposition, I'm fine with it.
Well, I'm kind of glad you used the word entertain. So far, it's reminded me of, and people who've watched the Premier League will be familiar with this team, the Entertainers of Newcastle in 92-93. When Keegan was the manager, their attitude was very much, you score 8, we'll score 9. They were great to watch. Towards the end of the season, you need that defence to kind of rub out, to kind of get the 1-0s. But I think it'll be a lot of fun for Inter this year. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I also like the fact that we're not playing with a 3-5-2 anymore, but it's more of a 3-4-1-2 with either Sensi or Eriksen playing behind the 2 forwards. And Eriksen, if you guys haven't, please go check the crossbar that he hit against Benevento, because that was an insane shot. And I'm sick of this guy hitting the crossbar. I just want him to score goals, feel good, find his confidence, and be the player that he was at Tottenham.
Yeah, I feel like last week I didn't pick him in my Inter midfield, and Conte is obviously finding a place for him. And I think if Conte does find a place for him, he will be, not to go back on myself too much, he will be a key player if he can get that form again. When one of those 30-yarders finally goes in, he'll be back in form.
2 more things I've got to say about Inter Milan. Achraf Hakimi, oh my God, that guy can run on the sideline.
Can I change my signing of the season from Osimhen? I think it might be him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is incredible. And if you watch the first goal that we've scored within 30 seconds of the game against Benevento, it's a long ball from Kolarov down the right side. Hakimi plays it in for Sanchez, who plays it back for Hakimi. Hakimi squares the ball in. Lukaku is there. Goal. If we do that all season long, I think we can get quite a few goals that way.
I feel like that's going to be a major link-up for Inter this year. Hakimi to Lukaku is going to, I think that's going to provide so many goals this year. That's going to be key.
1 goal and 2 assists in only 120 minutes of playtime for
impact. Absolute impact.
And the other thing I've got to say is that for the first time, I'm starting to slightly worry about Inter's keeper. Andanovic. He's always been great for us, but he's looked a little bit shaky. He gave away
He's getting old.
He's getting a little old, but what I'm confident about is that our second string goalkeeper is not Daniele Padelli anymore, but we've got Ioni Tradu. He's got quite a bit of experience, and I feel like Conte can risk and experiment with him quite a bit.
So it's not that third string keeper who constantly gets sent off the bench. No, I can't remember his name now.
Tommaso Berti. He doesn't play for Inter anymore. He's retired.
Oh, God. A loss to the world of football.
Let's move on to Group C, where you've got a few things to say about Man City.
I was screaming at the TV throughout this draw. So Pot A, the 2 teams that were, in quotes, the easiest were Zenit or Porto. And I said to Tommi, they will definitely get Zenit. They'll get Zenit. They got Porto. Now, Man City's group is Porto, Olympiacos and Marseille. The only game I can see causing them problems there is potentially Marseille away. Maybe. Right? I feel, and the last few years, I was looking through their group stages. They have had Shakhtar. This is the first time they haven't had Shakhtar in their group for 3 years. They've had the likes of Feyenoord.
What are you trying to say, Rory?
I'm trying to say that they may be very good in Ukraine, but they're not the elite of European football. Sorry to any Shakhtar fans I might upset here. They've had the likes of Feyenoord, Lyon, Basel. Their teams, their group always seems to be easy. I know it's an easy assumption to make that, they've got loads of money, so they bribe their way to it. But it seems a bit suspicious to me that they always get easy groups. And also, as an Arsenal fan, there's a lot of bitterness here because we always, every year, it was Barca, Bayern, Barca, Bayern. If it wasn't Barca, it was Bayern. If it wasn't Bayern, it was Barca. So there's a lot of bitterness here. I understand this. But this group, to me, it just sums up Man City's European campaigns. But the funny thing is, they still won't win it.
So Group B, we didn't say, who do you think are going to go through?
Sorry, well, I think this group has to be Inter and Real.
It has to be Inter and Real.
Gladbach might push, but Inter Real should be the ones going.
And Group C, who are your 2 picks?
Man City and Porto, because they have more experience in Europe. I think Marseille are unpredictable. And we've seen from the PSG Marseille game, they might have a few hotheads. Maybe discipline isn't their thing. I think Porto, their experience will see them through. They're always in the last 16, right, Porto?
this is pretty boring. We agree with each other quite a bit.
I
think
know,
that Man
there's
City and Porto are going to go through
here,
as
right?
well. No, not quite a lot of argument.
I'm sure it's coming up.
But moving up to Group D, this is an exciting group. Liverpool, Ajax, Atalanta, and Midtjylland. So it's very hard to pick what teams are going to go through. I mean, one, it has to be Liverpool. Then Ajax or Atalanta. Atalanta last year, they were risking not going through the group stage. Then they did in incredible fashion, and they were propelled all the way down to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Atalanta are looking good, and Papu Gomez is on fire. At 32 years old, he's recently become an honorary citizen for the city of Bergamo. He's already scored 3 goals and assisted twice in 2 games this season. His total tally for Atalanta is 57 goals and 69 assists in 238 games. I don't like Atalanta because Atalanta are a difficult side for Inter usually in the league.
It's just because you don't like Bergamo. Just accept it,
no,
right?
I
Just
don't like
admit it.
I don't like Bergamo. I don't like Atalanta supporters. I'm not a fan of Gasperini as a coach, even though he's done a hell of a job at Atalanta. I'm still going to pick them. Liverpool and Atalanta are going to go through. Who are your picks?
Well, I think this group is kind of almost the group of the neutrals' favourites. I feel like people who don't support these teams kind of like the way Liverpool play. People love Ajax. People definitely love Atalanta. And Midtjylland, they have... Midtjylland? I don't know how you say it.
You're asking me for
In
the pronunciation? I have no idea.
In the Europa League, they have... last year, they beat Manchester United. Like, they're a team that often have very good youth prospects. They've come. They sell on for lots of money. They're a development team, so I think obviously they're not going to progress from the group. But I think they will be more of a challenge than people expect, especially away. But for me, I think I'm going to go for experience again. I think I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say Liverpool and Ajax. I'm going to say Liverpool and Ajax.
All I know about this group is that Liverpool, Ajax, Liverpool, Atalanta, Atalanta, Ajax. No disrespect to Midtjylland, but these 3 fixtures. Oh my God, they're gonna be fun to watch.
And while we're on Liverpool, I feel like we need to recap their week as much as I might not want to. But my cousin is listening, and I promised him that I would cover this game. So on Monday, Liverpool. I think in the first podcast I said that I thought that things might be getting stale at Liverpool. I would like to withdraw that statement and say that Liverpool are looking even more terrifying than they did last year. The game against Arsenal felt like death by 1,000 cuts.
Time out. You said that you weren't scared about the Liverpool
I know,
game.
right? And I am withdrawing all of these statements. I feel like we definitely did better, but we played how I would expect a team like Burnley to play, right? Mm-hmm. It was, let's be defensively solid, and if we can get a chance, good. But if we don't, let's just not concede. Now, it just wasn't very exciting. It just wasn't very exciting. And I think the first half, Liverpool had something like 70% possession. We had 1 shot or 1 goal. But again, Liverpool love making defensive errors against us, which I'll take every time. But we didn't create a single chance until, I think, the 60th minute in the second half when Lacazette should have scored, like really should have scored. That would have made it 2-2, would have been a different game. But we would not have deserved it. Liverpool absolutely battered us. Their third goal was full-back cross the second goal was full-back cross for full-back to score. Like, when you watch their team, you realise everybody can score. In Arsenal, it's the opposite problem. If Aubameyang doesn't score, no one scores, and we don't create chances. So I feel like I need to acknowledge that Liverpool, I think, again, they're going to they look like they're going to stroll to the league. I can't see their performance was one of the best team performances I've seen in a few years against Arsenal. And that's not just excusing us losing 3-1. They were incredible.
And I also think that Liverpool kind of want to show that the slip against Atletico last year was just a slip. And I think they're in for a mission once again. They know that this cycle is not going to last forever. And this is a year where they've got to push, and they think they're going to do great in the Champions League.
Like, the whole time, just quickly, while I was watching that game, I thought I could just imagine Jurgen Klopp saying to the team, okay, you've won 1, but nobody cares if you win 1. People care if you retain the trophy. And I think now they are even more intent on retaining that Premier League trophy, and I think they will. So, anyway, they will progress from this group with Ajax.
Group